John Treston.
So, good evening everyone. Some of you may know me as the guy that flies around doing weekly marine surveys and recording what's going on around our coast. And in all honesty, I come to you tonight fairly annoyed. We've been pressuring the city of Cape Town to do something about the sewage problem for a long time now, and more recently putting more pressure on them. And when they didn't respond, Paul and others announced a date for a meeting tonight so we can inform the public, and hopefully you as the public can put more pressure on the city to do the right thing. Of course, within days of announcing our meeting tonight, the city has now announced that they're having a meeting tomorrow night to tell you their side of the story. And they've gone mad today with press releases, and basically the gist of their press release is the water in Cape Town is of exceptional quality and there's nothing wrong. Now, no one would be happier than me to believe that. I'm a diver, paddler, open water swimmer, and I'd love to believe that that's the case, but sadly that's not the case. Right. So we just have to switch machines here. Right. So, as a starting point, I'm going to do what I do, which is to show you some photographs that just illustrate the scale of the problem. Some of you may have seen these images before, and it's not specific to Hart Bay. So they're in variety of date order, but you can see clearly the plume from the Green Point outfall. Again, the Green Point outfall, and you can see on this particular day the plume is heading back towards the shore. As Green Point is not quite as clear, plume heading towards Blouberg. That's the Green Point outfall. You can very clearly see the diffuser pattern as it rises to the surface, and if you can see the little white dots on the screen there, I can see from here, those are the seagulls that sit on the surface and eat all the crap. It's a view of Camps Bay showing a plume of sorts around Camps Bay. The city these days are telling us they don't believe that's sewage. They say that's mucilage, kelp residue. Again, Green Point, just to show you that this is not an unusual thing. The city's own website says that the outfalls are purpose designed to disperse the wastewater, they call it, the raw sewage, deep underwater, far from shore. We shouldn't be seeing this on the surface in the first place, but there it is. There's a slide showing it right against the shore, the building in the middle at the bottom along the coast of the pump station. Green Point again, and you can see the boat for scale there. Hart Bay, and that's Green Point on a really bad day where the plume stretches about 5 kilometers out towards Blouberg. Camps Bay, and what's very interesting about this picture is you can see the plume going straight back into the bay. Again, Green Point, you get the picture. Green Point, Camps Bay, you can see at the bottom there the plume. Hart Bay with a boat for scale. Green Point, okay. More scale with kayakers. Right, I'm just going to flick through these to the slide that I want. There we go. Okay. So, one of the things that the city says in its report is that very recently, just in the last 2 weeks, the city's released a series of reports about Camps Bay, Hart Bay. Well, they haven't released the Hart Bay one. They knew we were coming tonight, and they held back that report, strangely enough. But they've released a report on the situation at Camps Bay, the Strand, and various other places. And one of the things they say in that report, was talking about the Green Point outfall, is they say that the outfall was commissioned in 1993. So there was an interesting paper written by Neil Overy, who's a historian with the UCT Department of Environmental Humanities. Turns out the Green Point outfall was actually completed in 1905 as the cheapest cost option to dispose of the sewage, despite massive public opposition at the time. Within only 10 years, problems manifested with sewage on the beaches, the coastline, and intolerable swells. The pipeline was extended to 640 meters from Greenpoint in 1931 and a pump station installed at Murray Point. There was a new polyethylene pipeline installed in 1986 after numerous leaks from the old pipeline due to corrosion. This new pipeline was broken by storms in 1989, and a study was commissioned then to investigate alternative disposal methods. And in 1993, once again, land-based treatment was rejected and a new pipeline was completed. So what this highlights is the remarkable consistency in the city authorities' approach to the disposal of sewage. At no point since the completion of the first outfall in 1905 has the council ever seriously considered a treatment option or an alternative approach. It's always just been the least cost option and pumping it into the sea. In 1895, the then city engineer, a guy called Olive, stated that it's pretty generally accepted that raw sewage cannot be disposed of anywhere without risk of a nuisance. It is certain that at some future time it will make its presence felt. This is 1895, and here we are in 2024, still with this problem. For me, I first really noticed the extent of the plumes when I started flying regular coastal marine wildlife surveys. I guess I've always really known about the outfalls, and I've known that we pump sewage into the sea, but like everyone else, I always assumed that it was treated and safe to put in the ocean. Only when I found out the truth, and really started to make a noise about this on the news, on carte blanche, on social media, that the city responded, and then their first response was one of complete and utter denial. Then Mako member for Water and Sanitation, Councillor Ernest Sonnenberg, told the press that the plumes were from passing ships. They seem to have conveniently forget all the lies they've told over the years when accusing environmentalists and activists, as we labelled, when they accused us of doing the same. Later on, the city admitted the plumes were from the outfalls, but said they were not harmful in any way. Over the course of the years, the stories changed to one where they accepted the plumes were harmful, but only in a very localized area around the plumes. We've then moved to agree that the outfalls are less than ideal, but the city's always stated that there are no viable economic alternatives. And that's before they've done the homework. More recently, studies have now been done to determine the feasibility of building treatment plants at each of the 3 outfalls, but this is currently presented as only a long-term 10-year plus solution. They're still talking and not doing anything. At what point do we actually start the work to make it happen? We now seem to be regressing backwards towards a denial of the mounting body of scientific evidence that shows the effects of these outfalls on both humans and marine life. So over the last 5 years, the city generated its own Know Your Coast reports from 2018 to 2022, or 23, but there was no data for 23. These reports use 5-year rolling averages to show the test results. And the problem with averaging methods is that they smooth out the peak events, and it's exactly what a sewage spill looks like, is a massive spike. Even so, the results on these things are hardly stellar. I think you can see when it comes back on, Cleve showed the same slide, but basically you can see one of their reports. I think this one is for the Atlantic coast, and if you look at the red and the orange, that's where it's less than acceptable. So and then suddenly in 2023 their report stopped and they couldn't access data and there was some problem, but you can see the results are hardly stellar. Since then, they've done ad hoc testing here and there and reported results as and when they want to, and all of a sudden, in the last 2 weeks, they've reported a new water summary dashboard. They call it their summer dashboard. And I had a quick look this afternoon through their dashboard, which shows absolutely amazing results over the last year with very little problem. And this is what they're going to present tomorrow and say that their water quality is excellent. So how do you go from 5 years of data showing mainly red and orange to suddenly pristine water? I don't understand. The city often quotes its own Commission 2017 CSIR report, which stated in the conclusions, the findings of the above-mentioned study indicated there is no immediate ecological disaster or major risk to human health forthcoming as a result of effluent discharge through the outfalls. Now, that on its own sounds okay, but again, as Keith mentioned, it's all about the language. There's at what point is the disaster? Is it 2 weeks? Is it a year? Is it 5 years? 10 years? The effluent that goes into the ocean is as a direct result of the number of people, which is increasing exponentially in Cape Town. They also failed to mention that same report also stated it is illogical and indeed irresponsible to imply that effluent discharge through the outfalls is not impacting on the marine receiving environment or not posing a human health risk. Regardless of the source of bacteria, the counts in shoreline samples at many sites were high enough to suggest a significant periodic risk to humans recreationally using the nearshore and shoreline waters. And that's the city's own report. I won't even go down the road of all the blue flag bullshit, pun intended, except to say that testing once or twice a month in a 1 or 2 month testing window in summer when the offshore blows, and having Camps Bay having a blue flag status with a marine outfall right in the bay, it's honestly a joke. The blue flag is just a marketing campaign, it's not a serious scientific study. And then there's the fact that the city operates the outfalls under permits from DFFE, the Department of Forest, Fisheries and Environment. These permits have conditions attached. The city has breached the permit conditions on multiple occasions, so much so that they're now currently facing criminal charges in the case of the Hout Bay outfall. The city's own website states that outfalls are purpose designed to safely disperse wastewater deep underwater, far from shore. They're located in areas where ocean currents help to disperse and carry the effluent away from the coast. The enormous volume of the sea helps to dilute the waste to nearly undetectable concentrations, and bacteria and pathogens die off while mixing with the seawater. I think there's more shit in that paragraph than in the sea. Unlike some, I'm not here to take any cheap shots at the DA. I firmly believe that the Western Cape is the best run province in the country, but when it comes to sewage infrastructure, they're well and truly dropping the ball. Politicians get elected for 5 years, and they want to show results. Number of houses built, jobs created, that sort of thing. Sewage is not sexy. Investment in bulk infrastructure shows no immediate or demonstrable results. In fact, if you get it right, nobody even notices. In political terms, there's no bang for the buck. But collapsing infrastructure is fast becoming the story of SA, and in this instance, Cape Town is no different. And I hope that when you finish listening tonight, you'll understand the problem better and be able to